Now, the last thing I want to mention, just an important concept to keep in mind when you're starting out with Bubble and starting to build your application, is deciding on whether you should build a single page application or a multi-page application. Now, if you haven't heard these terms yet, I'm going to explain the difference between the two. A multi-page application has multiple pages to it. It has multiple URLs. A really good example, popular example here is Amazon. Most websites, traditional websites, are going to be multi-page. So I'm right now on Amazon's homepage. If I go over to their gift cards page, then you can see I'm now on a new page called Sell Products Online. If I go to some department, let's go to movies, movies and TV, you can see I'm on a different page there. It's kind of abbreviated. If I go over to deals, you can see that it changes again. And Amazon is a massive website, so they have, a bunch of pages on their domain. And every link, every different page that I go to, Amazon is loading that new page for me to visit, all right? So you can really see very quickly if it's a multi-page app, if the URL changes every time you go somewhere new, right? Anything from your account to all of these departments to visiting, one of these, a products page. You can see here, this is a completely new URL for this particular product. All right. Now, an example of a single page application is one where the entire app lives on one URL only. All right. And a good example of that is Google Maps. So you can see here, I'm on google.com/maps. And then anything that comes after it is not really, it's not a separate page, but it's information for what's happening on the page. If something needs to be shown or hidden, or information needs to be pulled here to just make something happen. Usually stuff that comes after the page name is going to be related to that. But we're going to see here that we will always be on the Maps page. So if I click on a location here, this is a grocery store, then I can see I'm still on Maps. Obviously, a lot more information got added so that I could have a marker there so that this sidebar could show up, but I'm still on the Maps page. If I click on the reviews for here, it was able to zoom in a little bit. It changes the view of my sidebar to go to the reviews. I'm still on the Maps page. Now you can see that the difference between the two, there's pros and cons. The pros of a single page application is that the experience is a little bit faster and snappier for the user because they're not having to reload the page every single time. It feels more native. As opposed to a multi-page where every time you move somewhere, you're going to have to kind of wait for the entire page to load. Now, the downside is that, think about building this in Bubble. You have this one page here and you've got to create all of the different possible views on one single page. That could get very tedious, and it is, and it does require a lot more organization. However, it could be very, very worth it. A single page application experience is really, it's much more modern for apps. They're more common for apps as opposed to traditional websites. And it does give the user a more smoother experience. They're not having to wait for the page to load. So it's something to think about. Depending on what you're building, one method is going to be smarter than the other. I'm not telling you which one's better or worse. It really depends on what you're building. They are both good for different use cases. I'd say that if you're building some kind of a marketplace or a big listing site, something like this, where you have lots of different categories of things, definitely go with the multi-page structure. If you're building something where it should be more contained and, you have like sidebars like this or things kind of overlaying the page and it all kind of needs to be together in the same place, that's a great use case for a single page. I'll show you another example here on Bubble's own page. So under the account page, we have these 4 different sections. So right now I'm under account. If I go to plans and billing, you can see that I'm still on the account page, but I am on a completely different section right now. If I go to Marketplace, again, I'm on a different section here in Danger Zone. I have not left the account page. So this is a really straightforward, simple example of a single page structure. Something that you would build in your Bubble app would be similar, where you have some kind of internal menu structure like this. And what we're seeing here and what's happening when I click on these different links is Bubble is showing and hiding different elements on this same page based on what I click on. Now, the menu up here is going to take me to different pages on the Bubble domain. So currently I'm on account. Now, if I go to learn more, I can see the actual page has completely changed and we see a full reload of the page itself, right? So this is a completely separate set of content. Makes sense because this has nothing to do with my account settings anymore. So this is on a completely separate thing, right? Now, one thing I do want to make very, very clear is if you plan on building an application that you want to wrap and put into the app stores, to download from the Google Play Store or the iTunes iOS store, you have to create a single page application. That is actually a requirement. So you really don't have an option there. Again, if you're building an app that you want to wrap to put into the mobile stores, it needs to be single page. You do not have an option there. Otherwise, it's totally up to you. Depends on your use case. There are lots of different examples of single page applications. The best way to think about it is something that kind of feels more like an interactive type of site. A lot of the Google products are single page, like Google Drive, Gmail. If you click around there, you'll notice the URL doesn't change too much, especially with the page. And then more traditional sites like Airbnb or Amazon, anything where you're looking, it's like a big directory of items, that's usually going to be multi-page. Any kind of e-commerce site will usually be multi-page as well.